Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Ditam Tam Sajivam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pasachade Satarini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauravijay Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. Because there are several verses, I'm going to read the Sanskrit, and then the last verse, verse 5, is on the board, and we'll chant that one together. There's a little ant here who wants to, I don't want to crush him. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atasarva Gunopeta Kala Paramasobana Yarhi Evajana Janmaksham Santarksha Grahatarakam Disha Prashedur Ganganam Nirmalodu Ganodayam Mahi Mangala Bhuyista Puragrama Vrajakara Nadya Prashana Salila Rida Jala Ruha Shriha Dvijali Kulasanada Stavaka Vanarajaya Vashovayu Sukasparsha Punyaganda Vahasuchi Agyayascha Dvijatinam Shantastatra Samindata. So word for word, and reciting the verse together. Manamshi Ashan Prashanani Sadunam Ashuradruham Jayamane Jane Tasmin Nedur Dundubaya Samam Mamamshi Ashan Prashanani Sadunam Ashuradruham Jayamane Janatashmin Nedur Dundubaya Samam Manamshi Asan Prashanani Sadunam Ashradruham Jayamane Janatashmin Nedur Dundubaya Samam. Prabhus. Manamsi Asan Prashanani Asad Suradrum Jayamane Janetashmin Nedur Dundubaya Samam Manamsi Asan Prasanani Sadhunam asuradruham Jayamane janatashmi Nedurdandu bhayasamam. God, sisters? Manam Sadhunam asuradruham Jayamane janatashmi Nedurdundu bhayasamam Manamsi asan pasanani Sadhunam asuradruham Jayamane janatasmin Nedurdundu bhayasamam. Word for word, I'll just do this verse. I should have found that first. Okay. Manamsi, the minds of the Brahmanas, who because of Kamsa had always been afraid. Asan became Prashanani, fully satisfied and free from disturbances. Sadhunam, of the Brahmanas, who were all Vaishnava devotees. Asuradruham, who had been oppressed by Kamsa and other demons disturbing the discharge of religious rituals. Jayamanane, because of the appearance or birth, Ajane, of Lord Vishnu, who is always unborn. Tashmin, in that situation, Nedu resounded. Dundubaya, kettle drums, Saman, simultaneously. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe was surcharged with all the qualities of goodness, beauty, and peace. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did stars like Ashvini. The sun, the moon, and the other stars and planets were very peaceful. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds, the earth seemed all auspicious. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs full of lilies and lotuses were extraordinarily beautiful. In the trees and green plants full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the Brahmanas engaged in ritualistic ceremonies ignited their fires according to the Vedic principles. The fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to appear, the saints and brahmanas, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the core of their hearts, and kettle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary systems. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental, and that one who factually understands them is immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man, who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the previous chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the constellation known as Rohini was also predominant, because this constellation is considered very auspicious. Rohini is under the direct supervision of Brahma, who is born of Vishnu, and it appears at the birth of Lord Vishnu, who in fact is birthless. According to the astrological conclusion, besides the proper situation of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments due to the different situations of the different planetary systems. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. Auspicious stars were visible in the sky, and on the surface in all towns and villages or pasturing grounds, and within the mind of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of water, and the lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the brahmanas, who were accustomed to offer sacrifices in the fire, found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Because of disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire had been almost stopped in the houses of brahmanas. But now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the brahmanas were very distressed in mind, intelligence, and activities. But just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy, because they could hear loud vibrations in the sky of transcendental sounds, proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the occasion of Lord Krishna's birth, seasonal changes took place throughout the entire universe. Krishna was born during the month of September, yet it appeared like springtime. The atmosphere, however, was very cool, although not chilly, and the rivers and reservoirs appeared just as they would in Surat the fall. Lotuses and lilies blossomed during the day, but although Krishna appeared at 12 o'clock midnight, the lilies and lotuses were in bloom, and thus the wind blowing at that time was full of fragrance. Because of Kamsa's disturbances, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies had almost stopped. The brahmanas and saintly persons could not execute the Vedic rituals with peaceful minds, but now the brahmanas were very pleased to perform their daily ritualistic ceremonies undisturbed. The business of the Asuras is to disturb the Suras, the devotees and the brahmanas. But at the time of Krishna's appearance, these devotees and brahmanas were undisturbed. Om Agina Timirandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Vohi Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master is opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. I also offer my respectful obeisances to all the devotees, and I ask for the mercy of all the devotees that whatever I say can be somehow a little bit inspiring in your Krishna consciousness. So these very beautiful descriptions are certainly attractive. When I was asked to give Bhagavatam class, I immediately got my Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, what verse? What verse is it? I should have known, 3rd chapter. But when I read the verse, I just read it over and over and over because it's such a beautiful verse, such a beautiful description. And naturally, because we're part and parcel of Krishna, we enjoy these beautiful descriptions. We read them and we put ourselves in that place when we read them. So when we read these descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not only pleasing to the ear and to the mind and to the heart, but it's purifying. So we should allow ourselves to be attracted to these beautiful descriptions, because by that process we will lose our attraction for material enjoyment, for enjoying separately from Krishna. However, we're reading now the 10th canto, entitled the Summum Bonum. Wow. This is, it's almost frightening. I remember the beginning of the movement, as each Bhagavatam came out, it was always very exciting. You know, news would go around that this certain Bhagavatam was out, and everyone wanted to see it, read it, get their hands on it. And canto after canto, Srila Prabhupada put out 9 cantos, 10th canto. Oh my goodness, amazing, wonderful. But 10th canto is very serious. Srila Prabhupada so often, in so many purports, his classes also, of course, reminds us that this 10th canto must not be taken cheaply. That there is a danger in reading the 10th canto of taking these pastimes as ordinary, or wanting to enjoy. Here we are again, as conditioned souls, we have that propensity to enjoy. Wanting to enjoy these pastimes without going through the first 9 cantos. I'm sorry. So, these first 9 cantos, they deal with devotional service. They deal with the nature of the material world, the nature of our entanglement in the material world. I've just, in the past year, started rereading the Srimad Bhagavatam from the beginning. And a few months ago, I was reading 2nd canto, and reading 2nd canto, I really felt and somehow or other was able to accept the instruction on some level of how incredibly entangled we are in the material world. So we need to hear this. We read descriptions of hellish conditions. We read descriptions of demons and the horrible things that they did. We read descriptions of devotees, good devotees, who fell down, became entangled again in the material enjoyment. So we can't jump all those instructions. Srila Prabhupada was over and over, he reminded us of that. And I'm reminded, as I'm thinking of this, I was reminded of, this happened a little while ago. One devotee said to me, "Oh, I know a devotee, and she's, she chants, and she's been around the movement a long time, but she doesn't want to take initiation in ISKCON, because in ISKCON there's too much emphasis on the philosophy, on controlling the senses, on all these very important aspects of Krishna consciousness. She just wanted to focus on the ecstatic pastimes of the 10th canto, on the ecstatic pastimes of Krishna and the gopis, and Krishna and Mother Yasoda stealing the butter like that." But Srila Prabhupada very mercifully has steered us away from this very narrow, and actually for the conditioned soul, dangerous vision. So, after reading this very sweet description in the verse, Srila Prabhupada begins the purport with a very serious and important instructions. First of all, he goes right back to Bhagavad Gita. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental, and that one who factually understands them is immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. Then he goes on to elaborate on the auspicious descriptions presented in the verse. Actually, after reading the 10th canto comes the 11th and 12th cantos and the Uddhava Gita. And as I was reading those chapters a short while ago, I was reflecting on how after the summum bonum, after all the intimate pastimes of Krishna are revealed, again we go back to the Gita. If one reads the Uddhava Gita, one can see very easily and quickly that in many ways, in different ways, and sometimes in more depth, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are actually repeated. So these very basic instructions are so important for the conditioned soul, for us. We should never, ever think that we are above them. And no advanced devotee that I've ever met, beginning with Srila Prabhupada, ever thought like that. So, the birth of Lord Krishna is a very mysterious event, Srila Prabhupada says. What does mysterious mean? So I looked it up in the dictionary. Of course, having a Kali Yuga memory, I need my computer to remember what mysterious means. Because sometimes we can misunderstand if we don't know the exact meaning of a word. And Srila Prabhupada was a scholar. When he used words, he meant what he said. Mysterious means difficult or impossible to understand, explain, or identify. So I'm going ahead of myself here, but in verses 7 and 8 of the chapter, Srila Prabhupada again says, understanding the special significance of the appearance of the Supreme Godhead, one should never regard him as having taken birth like an ordinary child. And what is not mysterious? So what is not mysterious is actually that we are forced to take birth. To take a birth which is suitable to satisfy our material desires, suitable to the material activities of our past lives, whether that birth is in goodness, passion, or ignorance. This is the whole reason for the creation of the material world and our material predicament. Actually, we are really in trouble. As devotees, we know that. We're reminded of that this material world is not a place that we want to stay in. So this kind of birth, being forced to accept the results of our activities, is a birth that even ordinary people can understand. You know, you've heard so many expressions. As you sow, so shall you reap. What goes around comes around. You make your bed, you lie in it. In other words, we have to take the consequences of our actions, and our actions come from our desires. So here we are in the material world, not a mysterious birth. a very explainable birth. Krishna's birth is mysterious. He takes his birth out of his own sweet pleasure. And Krishna's loyal devotees are there to ensure that pleasure. The Rohini constellation only appears for the birth of Vishnu. The planetary systems were adjusted to be auspicious. There was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. Birds, peacocks, rivers flowing, aroma of flowers. The Brahmanas' minds were peaceful. Everything was absolutely perfect. Wonderful, ecstatic. But so many times when I've read this description in Krishna book, I've thought, I think Krishna needs to appear again. Where is he? We're living in a material world in an age where pollution, we don't even want to think about how much pollution surrounds us. Fighting, everyone's fighting. Even devotees, we have a hard time not fighting, getting along with each other because we're products of Kali Yuga. Leaders of countries are brazenly immoral, selfish, and greedy. Religious principles, just even ordinary morality and decency is going out the window. Recently I went back to Canada for a couple of months, and while there we went to Ratha Yatra in Vancouver. And my husband, I was doing cow seva table, but my husband, he loves Harinam, so he said, I'm going to go in Harinam. So when he came back, I said, so how was it? He said, oh, it was completely ecstatic. He said, people were chanting and dancing. He said, but he said, I've been living in either Mayapur or Eco Govardhan or Sharanagati, which is where we have a house in Canada. And being on the streets of Vancouver, he said to me, he said, women are barely dressed. He said, you can't even look up anymore because you're just completely embarrassed. I said, yeah, I know, it's really horrible. So even just common decency is out the window. There is mass slaughtering and abuse of cows on a level that actually Srila Prabhupada, I don't think he could even imagine, even by 1977 when he left this planet. Actually, the most recent scheme of the Indian government is that they want to introduce the artificial insemination of cows with semen that will guarantee the birth of a female. This is their plan. So, why? Because cows are good. Cows are for milk consumption. We want milk. Bulls, useless. We don't need bulls. So they're actually, they're doing it. They're actually beginning the process of doing that. This is so sad. I think Srila Prabhupada would cry if he heard this. Their whole mentality is, who needs dharma? Useless. They're dangerous. When they do stay alive, they stay on the side of the roads and they're in the way and there's accidents. So I've been lamenting. We need another incarnation now. What will it take in 2019 for the situation to be bad enough that Krishna will appear? where is Krishna anyway? So I'm thinking like that, but actually I'm a fool. Srila Prabhupada actually just reminded us again. Actually, in the last chapter, he reminded us that Krishna has appeared. Yes, I should have written down the verse. I thought I did, but I didn't. Anyway, I did copy the part of the purport exactly. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. In this age, at the present moment, there are inordinate discrepancies in the discharge of human duties. Human life is meant for God realization. But unfortunately, the materialistic civilization is stressing only the senses of the body, not understanding the living force within the body. As clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yata dehe, within the body is the body's proprietor, the living force, which is more important. But human society has become so fallen that instead of understanding the living force within the body, people have become busy with external things. This is a discrepancy in human duties. Therefore, Krishna has taken birth or taken shelter within the womb of the Krishna consciousness movement. So, I was wrong. I'm so happy that I was wrong. We should be happy when we realize that we're wrong, because being wrong usually means we're in anxiety. So Srila Prabhupada here is giving another reason for Krishna taking birth. There's a discrepancy in human duties. So, Prabhupada is saying here that Krishna has taken birth in the womb of the Krishna consciousness movement. That's us. Today. Right now. This is very serious. It's very mysterious too. I keep repeating that sentence in my mind, and there's no way I can understand it. But Srila Prabhupada said it, so it's happening. So that means that I have to chant and hear my rounds very carefully and pray to Krishna to kick out all material desires. I have to read Srila Prabhupada's books, the law books for the next 10,000 years, so that I can understand what and where is the discrepancy in human duties in my own life, in society, and how to rectify that discrepancy. So, because I'm so much involved in service to cows, I naturally think of human duties in reference to cows and to Varnashram Dharma. Srila Prabhupada said that Varnashram Dharma was the second half of his mission. In Vrindavan, he gave discourses on Varnashram Dharma for several days. I think it was 3 days. As he was leaving this world, he reminded the devotees of the importance of establishing Varnashram Dharma. And the loving care and protection of cows and bulls and Varnashram Dharma are actually very intimately connected. If we read Srila Prabhupada's purports over and over and over and over again, we see that connection is made. So recently, His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami posted on Global Varnashram, a WhatsApp group, and also published in his Om Surabi website. A most heartfelt and challenging statement, which I would like to share with you. It's not easy to read. It may even appear critical, but actually it's not. We can't be like the fool in the emperor's new clothes. You all know that story? The emperor's new clothes. I'll just repeat it very briefly. There was an emperor who was, very proud of himself, and no one could really advise him because he just thought that everything he said and did was the summum bonum, was it. And one day, the tailor played a trick on him. He brought him a set of clothes, and he said, "I have some new clothes for you." The king said, "I don't see anything." "Oh, that's because they're invisible. But when you wear them, everyone will see how glorious you are." So the king was flattered. He put on the invisible clothes and paraded himself down the main thoroughfare, we hope in his underwear. A fool. People were laughing. Some people were going, "Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, oh, amazing, beautiful new clothes you have." Some people were in the back laughing, trying to hide that they were laughing. His wife, I'm sure she probably said, "I hope, you fool, you have nothing on. You've paraded yourself in your underwear." So we cannot be like that. When there is constructive criticism, we should try to absorb it. So with that note, I will begin to read. It's not very long. I know I'm running out of time. It's entitled, ISKCON, more than 50 years now being established. Has the 50% left mission of Srila Prabhupada been fulfilled by His Holiness Bhakti-Raghava Swami? We should be in line with what Srila Prabhupada wanted, not something whimsical or concocted. Srila Prabhupada very clearly instructed that every temple and project immediately establish a Varnashram college to teach and train devotees about Varnashram Dharma. That every city temple get land, establish a farm community, keep cows, and produce their own food within a 50-kilometer radius of the temple. That our society introduce gurukulas and teach traditional education based on our Vedic Shastras. We have recently celebrated ISKCON's Golden Jubilee. After 50 years, who has followed these instructions? Where are the Varnashram colleges? Where are the flourishing farm communities? And where are the gurukulas? Very few have taken that instruction seriously. Establishing Varnashram is a responsibility of every single householder and every single member of ISKCON. Following the instructions of our founder Acharya is the first responsibility of all initiated devotees. The real wealth of our mother cow is not the many types of Panchagavya products she can produce. The real wealth of our mother cow is not even the milk, yogurt, and ghee, and other milk products she gives. The real wealth of our mother cow is the food that she can help produce naturally with the help of her male calves that can become strong bulls if allowed to live. The real wealth of our mother cow is the soil she can help make naturally fertile if allowed to graze most of the day with her calf. The real wealth of our mother cow is the dry cow dung that can be used as cow cakes to cook our food in the most natural, safe, and tasty way. The real wealth of our mother cow is the wet cow dung that can be used as antiseptic daily in our homes to cover the floors and the walls, both inside and outside. The real wealth of our mother cow is the service she allows us to render to her in the form of Go Puja and Go Seva. The real wealth of our mother cow is how she allows us to develop our deep love for Gopal Govinda by being herself naturally loving and caring. But because we are not following the above-mentioned instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, what has become the fate of our cows? What has become the fate of our villages? And what has become the fate of our health? And what undertaking have we gained about Varnashram Dharma? So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I don't really hear very well when questions are asked, even with the microphone. So if anyone does want to ask a question, please just come and ask me. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Mata ki. Dharma ki. Hare Krishna.